During the first 6 months of 1969, an average of more than 800 Americans were wounded each week. Each week, more than 200 Americans were killed. Each week, more than 450 of their South Vietnamese allies died alongside them. Each day, more than 500 North Vietnamese and Viet Cong were counted dead. In July 1969, President Nixon had good news for the troops. They could soon go home and leave the fighting to the South Vietnamese. He called the policy Vietnamization.
The policy of Vietnamization was to turn over the responsibility for the ground combat and air combat to the South Vietnamese. It was a policy of giving them the equipment and the training so that they could follow out their responsibility to their country. You cannot guarantee the will and the desire of any country, but you can give them the tools to do the job.
The Saigon administration faced a new political challenge. The Viet Cong proclaimed themselves the Provisional Revolutionary Government. America was still committed to troop withdrawals.
We made up our mind from the beginning that we were going to try to disengage from Vietnam. And all of the debates afterwards were really about, with the moderate critics, were about rates of disengagement, not about the fact of disengagement. So it had to be a high priority.
The pressures were on as far as the American people were concerned. The pressures were on as far as the Congress was concerned. And if we wouldn't have moved in the direction of Vietnamization, our whole military force structure would have been destroyed in the United States, and we would not have been able to meet the NATO commitments and the other commitments which were treaty commitments that had been made by the American government.
The major preoccupation of Kissinger and Nixon was U.S.-Soviet relations. They believed that world peace depended on getting the Soviet Union into a relationship with the United States so that it ceased to do things which threatened American security interests. And it was in this context that they approached every issue, from the Middle East to China to Vietnam. Vietnam was important because the United States had made it important. Kissinger was always fond of saying that we inherited 500,000 troops in Vietnam. We didn't put them there.